Hello, this is Too Stubborn to Quit, a podcast made for women who aren't slowing down, staying quiet, or fading into the background. We're here for the bold, the curious, and the women who know that their best chapters are still ahead of them. So get your coffee or your car keys, because we're getting ready to hit the road and you get to come along for the ride. Let's go! In this episode, Linda and I talk about second acts after retirement. In some cases, it could be third, fourth, and fifth acts. We also have a special guest, and she has reinvented herself a couple of times. The best part is, she tells us exactly how she did it.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody tonight. This is the start of our third podcast, and we're taking a new direction tonight. We have our first guest with us. And to get started, I'd like to introduce her. She is a retired psychologist, author of 7 trade nonfiction books of marine science and psychology. She has written children's books, The Pond Turtles of New England. She has also been awarded the Heroes Award from the Massachusetts chapter of the American Red Cross for climate resilience. She's been elected to the Explorers Club as a EC50 member who is changing the world, and currently is the founder of an organization called OLAUG, Old Ladies Against Underwater Garbage. Everybody, I'd like to welcome Susan Baur. Susan, thank you for coming and being with us tonight.
Linda. I'm pleased to be here.
So tell us a little bit about OLAUG.
So,
the Old Ladies Against Underwater Garbage is an unusual group which was started in about 2018, absolutely by mistake. I was swimming along with pond turtles. I love turtles. At times I've become obsessed with turtles. At a good day, was swimming with and seeing a turtle. And the neat things about turtles is you can't control them any more than you can control a good laugh or joy or happiness. It comes or it doesn't come. So I was learning to get along with the world parts of the world that I couldn't control. And, but I was really annoyed by how much habitat the turtles were losing. So 4th of July, their ponds were full of spent fireworks, or people would drag fallen trees out of the water, but that's where they like to hide. So I'd go to towns and I'd say, can we get some signs here? And they'd say, no. Too political, nobody reads them, we can't enforce them. So it was sort of an act of desperation when I thought, well, there's one thing I can do, which nobody can stop me. That's sort of one of my mantras, wow. And that was to take the trash out of the ponds. And typically in a pond, because they've never been cleaned up before, and on Cape Cod in eastern Massachusetts where I live, we have almost 900 ponds on the Cape.
Wow.
So there's a lot of ponds. From the air, our land looks like Swiss cheese. And typically in a pond, we find 2 or 3 tires, 30 golf balls, 20 Bud Light cans, dog toys, kid toys, various articles of clothing like bikinis, lumber, construction stuff, concrete blocks, and anything that can blow off a dock or a boat, caps, Adirondack chairs. But then we also find really interesting stuff like toilets.
in a pond?
Back end of a Corvette. It turns out that it's cheaper to push what you don't want out on the ice and let it go through than it is to try and borrow somebody's truck and load it in the back of the truck and go to the dump and pay the dump fee. So especially tires just get rolled off docks. So we started very haphazardly in 2018, sort of stopped for the pandemic for a year, and then thought, well, the only way anybody can get together is to be outside anyway, so we can keep going. And we went from 3 people to 5 people, and then suddenly, after an article in the newspaper, someone said, why don't you have tryouts? Why don't you make this larger? So we ran a tiny little 2-inch article in the newspaper saying, if you want to be an old lady against underwater garbage, come to this pond at this time.
That's neat.
And we were mobbed. We were just like, oh. So we went from 5 people to 21 people in the morning. And so, and every once in a while, somebody could not pass. We thought about this, and we thought what we really want is safety. We don't want people swimming out and getting the garbage and then not coming back. So we decided that for the tryouts, you had to swim across the pond and back. We measured that. There was a half a mile. You had to swim across the pond and back in under 30 minutes. And then we would put down, like 6 golf balls, and you had to get the 6 golf balls, and they'd be 6 or 8 feet deep. And so it's repeated dives. You have to go down, up and down, up and down. So most of the people who came could pass that. And so one of the things that you've got is a sort of self-selected group. We now are 30 women. So we've got 30 women.
Wow.
All of whom have been either athletes or very, very fit. They've been runners, they've been swimmers, they've been cyclists, whatever. They've been very, very fit for all their lives. So nobody gets out of their armchair at 64 and says, next year I'm going to join.
I'm going to go swimming. Right.
Yeah, I'm going to get swimming. I'm going to join the Old Ladies Against Underwater Garbage.
Wow.
So suddenly we ended up with, we went from 5 to 21, and we thought, oh my gosh. So then we had to get serious. How many swimmers per kayak? So typically we scout a pond. We don't want to mount a big complicated assault on the trash with 12 swimmers and 6 kayakers and find that there's nothing in there. So every pond that we clean, and we never charge, we work for cookies. Our entire economy is based on homemade cookies. So if it's a big dirty pond, you got to come up with brownies and something with coconut in it, and even cake.
Ooh, I like cake.
Things with two-handed cake. So we scout a pond and we say, one person will go one way, one person go another way, maybe just 10 minutes, and then come back and you say, how many did you get? And, the bad answer is, I didn't see a thing, or 2 or 4 or something like that. The good answer is 30, 60, it's like, we have a very odd relationship to the trash because it's a treasure hunt, and we love treasure hunts. And it's like, I don't know, picking blueberries. Once you start, it's really hard to stop. So we find a pond. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, what's the most unique thing you found in a pond, in any pond? Besides the toilets. That's a little weird.
A lot of it is weird, actually. We found stuff that we don't know what is, but we don't know what it is. So, some concrete blob with hooks on it. Batteries, spent fireworks. It's the time of year, you go to a joke shop for Halloween and you get a skeleton hand. It's so tempting. Except the person who finds it's going to have an aneurysm and her death is going to be my fault. That's what stops me.
Well, see, now that's the issue of being up in the years. You can't really, you got to be careful with,
Be a little careful.
Yeah.
Susan, I want to come to Cape Cod and hang out with you because that's funny.
We have a terrific sense of humor. I mean, the very fact that we call ourselves the Old Ladies, we get comments from various articles. You shouldn't call yourself that. You should be the Glitter Litter Mermaids. And you think,
no,
I don't think so.
No.
But we're a tough old bunch because we start swimming when the water, is maybe 60, and we in May through October. We wear wetsuits when we need to. But if we have 1 or 2 cleanups per week, you can't stop one because it's raining. You can't stop one because it's blowing a gale and there's whitecaps. You just do it. But again, the whole group they've either been runners for 40 years, or they've been swimmers, or they've been cyclists. They're used to, you keep going. And when the conditions aren't good, you keep going.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
To go up ski. And so anyway, we find a nice trashy pond. And if it's got a kid's summer camp, and we know there's going to be a dozen pair of goggles, and beads and hair bands, we think, oh, great, this is terrific. So then we have maybe 10 swimmers and 5 kayaks and a beach boss. And the beach boss has the defibrillator and the first aid kit.
Shouldn't laugh, but
no, well,
the fact that you have that on hand is really forward thinking, I guess. Yeah. Yes,
it was donated. It was good. We have not, knock wood, had to use it yet, but we had a woman who had a major heart attack in the middle of the pond last June.
Oh dear!
And we were trained. We were ready. We knew what to do. And she's saying, no, it's not that. It's an allergic reaction. And we thought, no, you're going to the ER. And so,
oh yeah.
But we are old. Yes, we're tough, and yes, we're adventurous, and yes, we really love going into a world that most people don't know anything about, and every pond is different. So you're really going, it's as if you're hopping into outer space, or at least as if you're going into a country you've never really seen before. So in spite of all that adventure and pluck, I guess, we're old. So every year somebody has breast cancer, and somebody has cataract surgery, and somebody needs a knee replacement, and somebody. So I think one of the reasons that we laugh so easily, and that we're so close to joy, and we're so grateful for the time we have together and the abilities we still do have, is because we don't take anything for granted. Our strongest swimmers get into trouble. And then somebody just says, oh yeah, I've got to have eye surgery. And you think, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So we see the yellow flags at the end of the runway, and yet we really aren't fading into the sunset. We are getting stronger, more purposeful. We've got this fantastic, you could call it a combination, you could call it a cocktail, but we've got this perfect cocktail. You've got to have adventure. You've got to have purpose. If we were doing this we are going to swim in a pond once a week for 6 months, then it's a bunch of women playing mahjong, or you're just enjoying yourself, and there's a certain self-centeredness about it. But when you combine that with, we figure all told, from 2018 to the present, we've removed 6,000 pounds of trash from the ponds on Cape Cod. That's a lot of trash.
That's a lot.
That's hundreds and hundreds of beer cans, 1,000 golf balls, pieces of furniture, rugs. We get rugs, we get old sweatshirts, a lot of glass, a lot of broken glass, a lot of lures with hooks, a lot of stuff you don't want to step on.
Yeah.
A lot of construction stuff, bricks and concrete blocks, and pressure-treated lumber, which we know is leaching arsenic into the water. So that combination of adventure and sisterhood and purpose is like, wow, you don't feel you're fading into the sunset. You don't feel that. So many of the women, when they first came, they said, oh, this is neat. We felt we were sort of getting invisible. CBS Evening News, Washington Post.
Yeah.
We had a podcast in the United Arab Emirates. We've had it in South Korea. We've had it in Costa Rica.
Neat.
We're on the Drew Barrymore show. $10,000. Thank you, Drew. There's a hunger out there for what we've got. Because if you think about it, how many people have true adventures anymore? Because it doesn't count if it's a screen. You have no skin in the game.
Right.
If you look at something on a screen. But you go into the food store, you know what is there. You drive on the highway, it can be difficult, but you know what's there. You go into a pond, not only do you not know whether you're going to encounter a 50-pound snapping turtle, but you don't know whether your heart is going to go out to a big, beautiful fish with a hook in its mouth that's clearly been there for a year. Oh. You don't know whether you see the sunlight suddenly come streaming through the water and think you're in a cathedral or something. You really put yourself at the mercy of the natural world, and it shows you what it wants to show you. And that's the whole range of human emotion. And it's great to think, here comes another adventure. What's it going to be? Toilet time, or heartbeat time, or scared shitless time? Two of us went for a manhole cover, which was about a 50-pound snapper, and we said, "Oh, right, I see it too." Down we started. Wow. When we saw the crenellated tail coming out the back. So
I have to ask you something crazy. So you're literally just free diving down? You don't have an oxygen mask on?
Oh, no. We're free diving, no fins, because the bottoms of ponds of Cape Cod are muddy. And if you even, are treading water, even 5 feet, 3 feet above the bottom, you're going to stir up mud. Once you even pick up that beer can, pick up that strange. Once I found, I love weird stuff. I found a giant, one of those big plastic pretzel containers that had been then made into a watering pot by hand. It had flowers on it and a little sprayer thing on it. But you dive down for that, and as soon as you pull that out of the mud, or if you've got the 125-year-old beer bottles left over from ice fishermen, a century ago, you pull those, you see just one little glint, one little piece of glass, and you think, ooh, little piece? Oh no, a whole bottle. And up it, you can't see a thing for another 20 minutes. You have to move on and come back, and move on and come back. Because mud, just when you pick up a tire, 2 women, 3 women, depending on the size of the tire, go down. You push the tire down to break the seal in the mud, and you are immediately in a cup of coffee. You cannot see anything, but you know which way. And then you pull it up, and then you tread water with an 80-pound tire, truck tire. Yeah. And the kayak comes through, and on the count of 3, you raise that tire up, and the kayak goes right through the middle of the tire. And that's how we get the tires.
Yeah, I know men that can't do that. I mean, that takes some serious strength. Yeah, unbelievable.
3 women.
Wow.
Yeah. But we made this stuff up as we go. We had to lasso the toilet.
I can't even imagine that. That's just too much.
This is a true testament to exactly who you people are, though, because it just...
Exactly. Right. But it makes you laugh.
Yeah.
Everything we do is like, oh, you're kidding me. Oh,
Nope, I understand that. Yes.
Laughing.
Yeah, it's just...
When they talk to us.
It's amazing. When I heard you on CBS News, I was like, I stopped dead in my tracks, and I turned around and I was like, how old is she again? And I'm thinking, I know how hard it is to pull stuff out of the water, and wow. Yeah. It's like, no, that's amazing, And so can you tell us, I told you, we're both in our early 60s. Okay. And I understand part of what you're saying, and I'm going to try to see if I can get the question here that I'm looking for.
Okay.
Because, for in your 30s and 40s, and even into your 50s. I think we spend a lot of time alone doing our own thing, just being involved in the world. And what I have started to find out, and I think it's why I reached out to Pam at one point, was that our world is getting smaller because society's just pushing us out. And all of a sudden you realize that you just don't belong there, or you do belong, but you have to find that niche that you need to be in.
Right. Nobody cares.
There you go. You just said it. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Right. And as if you're a woman and if you aren't a brain surgeon, where obviously people do care and they want what you've got, but the women who are turning 60 today didn't grow up at a time when people said, honey, do you want to be a brain surgeon or a lawyer or a lumberjack? Because we can try and fix it. You were brought up to be, especially in my generation, we were the holders of the ring. I mean, the man was the diamond and we were the setting. And every good diamond has a good setting, and not my idea of a good time. But if you were brought up to play a supporting role to your husband, to your children, to your boyfriends, to your boss, to whatever, then what are you supposed to do at 60, or whenever you're let go, or whenever you retire?
Right.
Retire into nothing. You've worked hard. Your whole friendship group is part of work. You leave that and you become a philodendron plant, So a lot of the women that are part of OLAUG have said, wow, we just didn't know what to do. And now we do. And we in the winter, we have meetings once every 6 weeks, not a lot, but we've got so many videos of us now, and we have a professional documentary person who's made a 15-minute video of us that will come out in April, that we will get together and have movie nights, but the movie nights are always just swimming videos, so it's either videos of us or videos of famous swimmers or documentaries that have been made of us. It's pretty cool. And I remember, I'm the only one who's been in it the whole time. And I remember 2 or 3 people of the sort of the newcomers who came in 2023. And we don't hold tryouts anymore because we don't want to be any bigger than 30. We can't manage more than 30 people. And if your life depends on your kayaker or your your companion, you want to know every person that you're swimming with. You don't want to say, what's your name again? Oh yeah, well, caught in that fishing line. I hope you're there.
Right.
So a couple things that I'm hearing. So since I'm looking down that tunnel to retirement in a couple months, and I am a little terrified, to be frank, but what I'm hearing from you is you need purpose, you need adventure.
You need a sisterhood.
I'm sorry?
You need a sisterhood.
And a sisterhood.
You need purpose, you need adventure, and you need a gang. You need, this almost the special handshake, the special hat. You just need a bunch. It could be 5, it can be 25, but a bunch of like-minded women, because that's where you're going to draw your power from. They know what menopause is like. They know what fading into the sunset feels like. You've got special problems that men don't have. Right. And I adore men and have the number of husbands to prove it. But there's nothing like a sisterhood. There's nothing like a group of women.
And I don't know, it's awesome that you have found this group of women because of a passion of yours. I work in a primarily male-dominated industry, and I'm a safety coordinator, so I'm I'm a person who is typically a guy. I'm the only female in my industry, in my company. So that part, well, there's two others. Anyway, there's a limited number of us, and we're scattered. And so it's very difficult to get that posse, if you will, that group of women that you get to hang out with every day. They don't exist.
I didn't have that until I started OLAUG. I mean, I'm a writer. You do that alone.
Yeah.
For years and years, I was a runner. You do that alone, or I did. And even for swimming, for about 18 years, when I was really trying to find turtles, I swam alone. I didn't want to share my turtles. I didn't want to swim with anybody, So I think of myself, I live alone now. I'm very much alone. And so it was very strange to have people want to join my club.
Yeah.
But you have to almost go back to when you were 12 years old or 10 or 8, but especially 12. And if you ever had just the best friend or the best neighborhood group, you go back to that time, and that's really what you're recreating. So much imagination in it, so much. We don't take ourselves very seriously.
And that's good. We are entering our 5-minute warning period here. So is there anything else you would absolutely need to tell our listeners about getting older, about your group, about life? It's all you, Susan.
Well, go to our website, which is OLAUG-MA.com, and take a look, because we have wonderful pictures and you really can see the trash there. I think that the most underutilized resource in the United States of America is women over 65. I think the power, the joy, the smarts, the energy is incredible. The great Margaret Mead, the anthropologist, said the greatest power in the world is the zest of a postmenopausal woman. And when you get a bunch together, you get a lot of zest. And I would say, if I can do one thing in this life, it is to get a movement going where my group begets other groups, beget other kinds of groups with that combination of purpose and adventure and sisterhood, and releases that kind of energy and positivity that we have, the world would be a better place.
Absolutely.
Make women happy.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Susan, you have been a breath of fresh air for me this evening. That's very inspiring. I never got to ask you about the Explorers Club, but that's okay.
Good.
Maybe the next time we can talk about the Explorers Club. That would be awesome. Linda, any last thoughts?
No, that was my last.
Susan, I'd like to personally thank you. I'm just, I can't even describe how I feel. You've been, like Pam said, a breath of fresh air. It's scary going into our next years.
It is.
And
it can be.
It is.
I mean, what we didn't get into, but this whole process really started with me saying, "Oh shit, I don't want to get old," because I'm very active.
Yeah.
How can you be happy and sick at the same time? How can you be happy and weak at the same time?
Yeah.
I thought, I can't do that. So you do have to go through a scary time. There isn't any way around that. But you're at a great transition, and you just have to know that there's something really terrific if you can get through the scary time. But you get through that scary time. You do that by yourself. You face it. Yeah, you are getting old. Yeah, the world isn't as interested. And then you say, "Oh, yeah, I've got other plans. Watch this." And do it.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
So,
thank you.
What's the website one more time?
OLAUG, ma.com.
All right. So everybody take a look at Susan's website. She's inspired me tonight. I'm in awe, like I want to do one of these, Ooh.
Well, you have me back. I'm going to have a book coming out in September 2026. Yeah. And,
absolutely.
Swimming with Turtles, and we'll talk again then.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. So, folks, if you could please subscribe, like, and share, and follow. And, of course, if you can, write a small review for us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. That would be very, very helpful. So thank you once again, Susan. And thanks, everyone, for listening. We appreciate it. Take care.
Hello. See you guys.
Bye.